Chapter 4. Let's go on a picnic outing part. Emilia. Avoiding a swinging down weapon, Emilia pierces her knife in an opponent's throat. She then instantly extracts the pierced knife, throws it, and it penetrates the throat of an opponent that has been approaching her back. And though an opponent approached from her side at that opportunity, Emilia. Emilia shoots a wind blade. As the blast of wind blows, the opponent's head is sliced and falls off. She confirms that there are no more opponents approaching her, and she promptly collects the stuck knife. Royce. Roy swung down a sword that easily cut the stick that his opponent offended with, and he cut that very opponent right in half without hesitation. At that blow, one opponent came to a halt trembling in fear and was cut up with a sideways sweep, and another one received a knee strike and sank down. Eat this, Royce. Two of them get attacked by Chiabu, and 5 slashing attacks tear them to shreds before they get to raise their voices. As for me, I was observing the pair, sitting on a nearby rock. I'm not skipping out, it's just that this is the pair's training. I intend to back them up if something happens, but there doesn't seem to be any problem. 1 year has passed since the Oath of the Silver Moon. Whether I'm bound to the oath or not, it doesn't change how I associate with the two. If there is a change to speak of, it's that the training has been getting more intense than before. Emilia and Royce grew up healthily by training earnestly, and although they're children, they have matured into splendid soldiers despite being children. As for their abilities, as demonstrated, a regular goblin isn't a match for them anymore. Well, I'm conscious that goblins are weak, but it's irrelevant given that today was a group fight. They were at least 30, however, they were cleared away like withered branches and mowed down in the blink of an eye. The sight of them was actually pitiable. Let me briefly explain the current status of the pair. Emilia's attribute is the wind attribute and her main weapon is usually a knife, so her tactic is to cut up her opponents with long-distance wind magic. Of course, I'm making her learn to cast without chanting. She gets approached by a lot of goblins aiming for her, so she skillfully moves around to protect her rear, and she stabs their weak points with a knife to reliably reduce their number. When goblins approach her, she flings them away with the Aikido I initiated her with, and when they get away from her, she chops them up with wind magic. Even from the point of view of her teacher, me, the way she knocks them down brilliantly and fast is a magnificent sight. Roy's attribute is the fire attribute, but he doesn't need to use much magic since he defeats goblins with pure sword art. His style is Lior's mighty piercing sword style. I made the pair meet him when I deemed the time right and they were pleased with him, so for the past half year, I've been daily taking them with me to train with him. If I were to assess it, his current skill is at the point where he could cut a goblin right in half with an ordinary iron sword. However, I heard from Lior that that's at the level of a beginner. Just how deep does the mighty piercing sword style go? As I pondered absent-mindedly, the last goblin fell under a slash from Royce. He has a few spurts of blood on him, but he has no injuries. It's clearly a perfect victory. Although he two are indeed very dignified and reliable when they fight. Serious Emilia. Big brother, Royce. Shaking their tails, their two figures came running here with a big smile, looking like nothing but pets. How was that? I have no injuries and I was able to defeat them without being showered with spurts of blood. Royce does have some on him though, Emilia. You use too much spells, big sister. You're always being told by Big Brother that you rely too much on magic, and I defeated all of them without using spells. Amazing, right, Royce? They start arguing in front of me, but they seem like they just want to be praised, so I pat their heads. Emilia and Royce. Though the pleased expressions they have when they get patted haven't changed, considerable differences have started appearing on the two's appearances compared to a year ago. Emilia not only grew taller, but she looks more adult-like too. As for her silver hair that was up to her shoulders, it grew up to her hips, which made her charm as a woman start coming out. For some reason, what grew the most is her chest. It has started to bulge somewhat. Her body seems to have answered to her obstinacy as she wished for it to grow. I can guess the reason, but I dare not ask. even if it's from her motivation and her goodwill. It's too fast for an 8 years old, right? But I digress. At any rate, she became lovely. She'll blossom into a beautiful woman in the future. Roy's whole body became bigger, and his mind became a lot more stable. He reached a point where he calls himself or instead of Boku, and he acts less upon his emotions. And after the oath of the Silver Moon, he started calling me Big Brother. I have pointed out that it's strange not to call one's master with Sama, but it seems that Big Brother is a superlative appellation for him, so he's allowed to call me that except in public. Unfortunately, he's inexperienced with honorifics. Even if I point it out, he'll soon forget it, so I'll leave this matter as is until he becomes a little more grown up. As for me, well, to put it bluntly, I kind of grew taller. Though it's a regular growth, it appears that I'll be overtaken soon by Royce, whose abnormal height growth continues. I believe he'll surely surpass me after half a year. Whatever, I have evolved more on the inside than on the outside. My new spells increased. I came to be able to use attributed magic, though I need preparations before doing it, and my disciples are growing up without a problem. Everything is going smoothly. Is this the end for today, Emilia? That's right, though it's a little early. Today's training is done. Let us return to lunch. Serious. I wonder what Big Brody made today, Royce. I would get a little money if I were to cut out the goblin's horns and take them to the institution called the Adventurer Guild. But the price per unit is low and I can't register to the guild because of the age limitation, so I leave the defeated goblins alone. Some wild monsters will probably deal with them later on. Roy simple-mindedly walks at the front. I follow while watching over him, and Emilia comes after close behind. As of lately, this is our standing positions, and our formation. There is 1 year left before we get driven out of the house and go to school. Though we're growing up, well, I keep thinking daily about whether there is something left to be done. Leaving behind Royce in the garden to tend to his sword and wash his clothes that were dyed with spurts of blood, we entered the house. Welcome back, Serious Sama, Alina. I'm home, Alina. Oh, it's alright, sit down, Serious. Elena tried to stand up from the sofa to greet me, but I immediately stopped her. I humbly apologize. Leaving that aside, I hope the day went well, Alina. Those two were excellent, so yeah? How is your condition today, Serious? Well, there are no issues, though I am a little sluggish, Alina. Alina's physical condition has been crumbling for the past half year. Before, she used to come to meet us at the entranceway upon sensing our return, but lately, her sitting time is longer and even walking to the door makes her countenance seem painful. Therefore she is prohibited from greeting us at the door, and I persuaded her and made her promise to reduce her attended work to just a minimum and for no beyond half a day. Serious Sama, what's your schedule for this daytime, Alina? I plan to take Royce and go to Leora's place. Emilia is free, so maybe she should study. Serious. Yes, I'll be borrowing her then. Emilia, see you after lunch, Alina. Understood. Well, Serious Sama, I'll go change. Alina's gentle eyes followed the back figure of Emilia, who returned to her room to change her adventurer clothes to maid clothes. That girl's growth sure is fast. I fixed her maid clothes just a few days ago, and they already seem like they've become small, Alina. I know, right? Honestly, I believe that she'll grow up to be charming. Rather than that, fixing those clothes got to be hard on you, right, Serious? No, it makes me happy. Because whenever I do it, I can get a real feel of how much she's growing up. Besides, it's a task I can do while sitting, so it's one of my few enjoyments, Alina. At that, her eyes appealed. Of course, you are included in those to me, which I responded to with a laugh. Dressed in maid clothes handmade by Alina, Emilia bowed lovelily towards me. Welcome home, Serious Sama. Please allow me to look after your luggage, Emilia. I get her to remove the weapon belt that I put on. Though I could do it myself, it seems that this is also a part of her training as an attendant, so I let her do it. When compared to Royce, Emilia isn't good at fighting. She's going to be my attendant, so she has been receiving Alina's attendant teachings in interval with her combat practice. Practicing intensively is mentally exhausting. Adding attendant training to that is putting too many irons in the fire. However, she keeps on doing it without uttering an objection or a complaint. That ardor and that way of thinking are really amazing. How was it, Emilia? It was flawless. You sure have grown up, Alina. Indeed, your removal of the weapons was smooth, and your bow was perfect too. Serious. Whoa. Thank you very much, Tilda, Emilia. Though when praised, her true nature comes out. She's young, so it can't be helped. It seems like you have as much talent as Noelle, doesn't it? Well, maybe that's kind of an understatement, Alina. At Alina's words, a wooden tray fell down with a clatter from behind. Looking in the back, there was Noelle, who had prepared our meals. She was solidified with eyes wide open, as if something unbelievable was just said. Silence governs the living room. And, as I saw the tray tumbling and thought that the tablewares would be alright if I were to set them back up afterwards. It's alright, big sister. I'm only good with serious Alma. With other people, I become awfully no good. You can deal with anyone, so I lose to you, Emilia. Ah ha ha ha. Yes, that's right. This big sister isn't losing. This hard-working self of mine is no inferior, Noelle. It sure is sad being comforted by a younger child who's almost 10, that is. It would be so good if this frivolous person wasn't here, but Alina. Alina's mutter reached no one but me. The time is after lunch. The location is Lior's place. I had entrusted Royce to Lior, and I was practicing magic on a slightly remote hillock. Woo, Lior. Damn it, Royce. The voices of the two fighting fellows are reverberating in the distance while I am sniping with my gun magic, aiming at a target far ahead. In my previous life, I used to often resort to sniping in order to assassinate some specific enemies. Though my maximum shooting distance at the time was of 2,000 meters, it's now twice-fold at 4,000 meters, and that is so even if I aim at the target in a shoddy way. Naturally, picture the gun as a sniper rifle. I aim by standing on one knee and it's a hit, although it doesn't go right in the middle. I'd ordinarily be certain to fail a hit like that, but this is a world with magic. Ha 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 ha. What's the matter, kiddo? Lior. Wait. That's going way too far, Royce. The power and the shooting distance of the magically fired rifle is exceptionally higher. And I'm substituting the sight, which is used to look at a faraway distance, with a magic tool I made by hand. Yes, even I came to be able to make magic tools, as long as they're simple. What I do is that I draw a water magic formation in the middle of a hollow cylindrical timber, and I make two lenses of transparent water to build a mechanism similar to that of a telescope. Since there is no telescope in this world, this is my personal thing, but it seems that I'll be able to learn various magic formations if I go to school. I'm looking forward to it. Having kept on shooting several times, I finally managed to shoot right in the middle. Let us aim a little deeper next. You endured it up to here. Then, next is this, Lior. Be big brother, help, Royce. Normally, when fired bullets are subjected to air resistance, they decelerate and deviate. However, mana bullets are mostly unaffected by air resistance, so they're hard to decelerate or deviate. I seriously believe that magic is omnipotent. Oh good, it hit. Ha 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 ha, Lior. Wah, Royce. Roy seems to have been done in, so maybe I should wrap this up. Bye, big brother, Royce. Oh, it's you. This fellow here can finally bear 30% of myself, Lior. Taking a look at the two after returning to where they were, the Royce was beaten up and collapsed, and the old man was laughing loudly. I pat the Roy's teary-eyed head that reaches out to me. I pick up the wooden sword that he dropped, and I confront the old man. There, you held on really well, Royce. From here on, I'll be raking this childish old man over the coals. Alright, serious. Big brother, Royce. Childish? How rude. I'm hardening my heart for the sake of training, you know, Lior. Oh shut up. You don't get to say that while smiling so hard, serious. But, it's so fun, I can't help it, Lior. Get serious, serious. From the get-go, I charged at the old man with boost at full throttle. As for the outcome, I attacked in a different way than usual and I overwhelmed him. And yet the old man was laughing satisfiedly. And so, the next day, looking around at the whole crew that lined up for breakfast, I said, "Let's go on a picnic, serious." Although the attendants were silently exchanging glances between them, Noelle raised her hand on their behalf. "May I ask a question, Noelle?" "Yeah, go ahead, serious." "What is a picnic, Noelle?" Is it like that?" Looking at everyone, they all seemed to be thinking the same and seeking for an explanation. I made a blunder. The lot of words resembled closely those of my previous life, so I thought this one would flow. We'll all be going out to have lunch and relax. In other words, let's go have fun, serious. Agreed, the Royce and Amelia, and guess who? The house's children, with a certain cat-eared person mixed in, wholeheartedly approve it. It seems that Dia's already thinking about the lunch's menu. However, Alina alone shook her head deplorably. "I deeply apologize. My endurance won't be able to keep up, so I'll be looking after the house. Have a nice day, everyone." "Elena. No way, we can't go and leave only Alina and Amelia. It'll be no fun without Elena and Royce. You guys, I'll also want to go, but I'll become a burden if my stamina runs out, Alina." "It's alright, I prepared this thing, serious." I took out a wooden chair made to be carried on the back. If Alina sits on this and I shoulder it, there'll be no need for her to walk. I couldn't possibly refuse something like this at this point, right, Alina? Then, with everyone's approval, let us go on a picnic, serious. Yay, picnic, Royce. Hey, don't get too carried away. However, I'm looking forward to it too, serious. Since they had been doing nothing but training every day, it was the two's first time genuinely going to play, so they were more pleased than expected. Their childish innocent smiles pierce right into my heart. It hurts. From now on, I'll increase their playtime a little. Then, here are the roles for each of you in the preparations. Dia and Noelle will prepare lunchboxes, Amelia and Royce will prepare a carpet for everyone to sit on. As for Elena, she'll be on standby. Well then, dismissed, serious. Understood, everyone. All of them scattered to their posts for the preparations, and I, who stayed, made final adjustments to the chair. Meanwhile, the other person remaining, Alina, asked me a question. "Serious, Alma, why hold such a meeting so abruptly? We only have a single year left, right, Alina?" "That's precisely why. Don't you want to make fun memories with everyone, serious? As she says, there is little time left for us, we have hardly any time for leisure. However, myself aside, what will become of the attendants after 1 year is unclear. Therefore, I want to leave behind 1 or 2 happy memories. It's this train of thought that brought about the picnic. Let us leave the difficult talk aside and let's have a lot of fun today, serious." "You're right. Although I am being a bother, please take care of moving me, Alina." "Yeah, you can count on me, serious." I practiced carrying Elena several times for adjustments, and once I was able to confirm there were no problems, the preparations ended and we left without delay. The place we're heading to is within the mountain range behind the house, at a walking distance of about 30 minutes. I just stumbled upon it once while flying in the sky, but it was a spread-out open field with no monsters to be found, just the right place to relax. Royce, whose perception is sharp, takes the lead. I follow him while shouldering Elena, and Noel, Amelia, and Dia are at the rear. If there are dangerous monsters to speak of in this area, it's the goblins, but I cleared a herd of them the other day, so the chances of encountering them should be quite low, shouldn't they? Still, I carry a weapon for caution's sake, and we 3 men face our destination vigilantly. Serious, Alma, aren't I heavy, Alina? I'm alright. Even if I were to run, I'd have no problems. Rather than that, are there any changes to your physical condition, Alina? Serious. I have no problems either. It's quite strange. I hardly feel any load on my body, even tough I'm being moved up and down, Alina. It's because of my way of walking. This is also a form of training, Sirius. If it's training, then I'll do it too, Royce. You're the vanguard, so your role is to clear up the path. Listen, if you keep persevering, Alina Sand's burden will decrease. So work hard and cut through with your sword, Sirius. Oh, that's right. Alright, leave it to me, Royce. This child, he's actually quite an airhead. Looking at his retreating figure cutting up obstructive bushes and branches while swinging a sword, I felt anxious about his future. Woo-ah, Tilda, Amelia. Wow, Tilda, it's amazing, Tilda, Noelle. The dense trees become interrupted by a flower garden in full bloom that spreads out before our eyes. Though the place was rugged as if the forest had been hollowed out with a spoon, I checked with search for the presence of monsters and I couldn't find any, which was a relief. Taking along the attendants who were trembling from excitement, I spread a carpet at the base of the only tree there, in the middle of the flower garden. The flower bed is great, but why is this tree the only one here, Noelle? It might be the owner of this place. Look, it's slightly bigger than the other trees, Alina. That's really the case, her. For now, shall we ask it if we can borrow its roots, Noelle? I'll do it too, Royce. Noelle and Royce clasped their hands together in worship toward the tree. Perhaps this tree monopolizes the nourishment in the outskirts, so the other trees stopped growing, I guess. And then, the number of trees decreased, and the sunlight shone on the ground, providing the flowers with a little nourishment that allowed them to bloom in profusion, or something like that. Well, it's good that we arrived, but it's still a little early for lunch, isn't it, Noelle? Then, shall we play for a short while? I actually brought a little tool, Sirius. Let's play, Amelia and Royce. With their ears and tails rising, the two turned expectant looks toward me. That made me remember the words "want to go for a walk" that one would tell a dog. I took out an overly light disc-shaped object with thin and curved edges, that is, a frisbee. Since plastic doesn't exist, I made it by shaving some light and sturdy wood. What is that? Should I strike it with my sword, the Royce? Shall I shoot it with magic, Amelia? Hey, don't go thinking about breaking it. This is a tool called the frisbee. It's an object you throw like this, Sirius. I try to throw it lightly. It's handmade, so it's ill-balanced and it meanders a little, but all in all, the movement is close to the real thing. Oh, damn, I carelessly went and threw it in a direction where nobody was. Yeah, Tilda, Noelle. However, Noelle caught it in the air and passed it to me. She was setting up the luggage in the back just now. When did she come? What was that? I reacted unintentionally, Noelle. With a wondering look, she goes back to her former position. Cats do react to moving objects. It seems that just because she has the ears of cats, their instincts was also mixed in her. Looking at the pair, they're observing the frisbee with sparkling eyes. After that, we'd normally just do passes back and forth. However, maybe I'll try messing around a little. Here, catch it, Sirius. Wait, Royce. Yeah, Tilda, Amelia. I threw it slightly harder, and the pair started joyfully chasing after it. You'd expect catching it at this speed to be impossible, but by making the best use of their trained legs, the two succeeded in overtaking it, and Amelia caught it. Ooh, you caught it. All right then, throw it ba, Sirius. Sirius-sama, Amelia. Before I got the chance to tell them to throw the frisbee back, the two came back running and gave it to me. Big brother, hurry and throw it. This time I'll get it, Royce. I'm not going to lose either. Sirius-sama, please throw it again, Amelia. They were being very noisy, so I threw it with even more strength this time. With this speed, even a trained veteran dog would have a hard time, but sorry for the dog, these two are the pupils that I thoroughly trained. Responding with a considerable dash, the Royce pulled off an air catch. And then, in the blink of an eye, the two came back together. Big brother. Again, Royce. Next time it will be me. Serious-sama, throw it please, Emilia. Her. It's odd, isn't it? Isn't frisbee played by passing it to each other? I just made you fetch it as a joke and yet you're enjoying this so much. Are you, like dogs? No. They really are dogs. Oh, ooh, Noelle. And then, I noticed the dangerous gaze of Noel who was standing close by. Those were the eyes of a cat on the verge of pouncing on its prey, which is why I lightly threw the frisbee nearby as an experiment, and she jumped right at it. I see, so she wasn't able to win over her instincts. Wait, Serious-sama, what on earth? Not again. Yeah, beastkins are interesting. Their physical abilities are higher than that of we humans, and yet many of them are amiable people. Makes one wonder why they are discriminated against. Her. Doing it only with big sis Noelle is unfair. It's my turn now, Royce. Please throw it to us. I do admire big sister's lightness, but we are stronger than her, Emilia. What's that? If you're going to go as far as saying that, then to hold this big sister's true strength, Noelle. Since the noisiness increased even more, I earnestly threw the frisbee. It's fun so I don't really mind, but you know, I've been thinking and there is no real need for me to throw it, right? You guys can simply throw it in turns, can't you? Serious. No, Tilda, the Royce and Emilia and Noelle. But why? Serious. Eventually, it reached a point where a veteran dog of my previous life would be at an impasse. I mean, it's because they're using Boost, which I taught them, but still, aren't they taking the game too seriously? Everyone, let's have lunch now, shall we, Alina? Yes, Tilda, Emilia and Royce and Noelle. The beastkins who gathered at Alina's call made me think of kindergartners who went on an excursion with their teacher. We sit down in a circle around the lunchbox that he set up while chuckling to himself. We said, "Itadakimasu," in a chorus, and I was handed a sandwich and a drink from Emilia. The attendants can't eat before me, the master, so, even though I think it's a little troublesome, I eat the first mouthful. It's tasty. Though it's a little too seasoned, this much isn't bad. Serious. Really, Emilia? Emilia is pleasantly wagging her tail. It's a quite clumsy work for something made by D. Could it be that? Did you make this, Emilia? Serious? Yes, I did, Emilia. I see, I think you did well for a first time. Therefore, you should eat, instead of just looking at me. Serious. Understood. Ha, Tilda. What a relief, Tilda, Emilia. That's good, Alina. You really did your best, Emmy-chan, Noelle. Having been praised by the two who had watched over her when she was cooking, she happily bit into her pork cutlet sandwich. Though there was an accident where Royce clogged his throat by earnestly wolfing down his food, the meal proceeded peacefully. After lunch, the frisbee immediately restarted, or so I expected, but the time flew by really quietly in the flower garden. This was because the three main causes of the commotion were having naps side by side under the shade of a tree. Of course they'd become drowsy after filling their stomachs in such high spirit. Since D is sitting near and standing guard, even if monsters approach, there won't be any problems, right? Thus, I lied down and I got a lap pillow from Alina, like a young woman would from her boyfriend. Hee, Alina. It's fun, right? Serious. She stroked my hair with a face filled with affection. It's the same face that she has been showing me all the time since I awoke in this world, and even though her wrinkles multiplied over the years, this expression hasn't changed. Yes, it's very fun. You've become all grown up, and our family is getting bigger too, so I'm very happy, Alina. Happy? Her. You're right, I want to make more fun memories like today's. Serious. As I was warmly wrapped up in the kindness of the cheerful Alina, I too became sleepy. If it's you, you'll be able to make as many happy memories as you like. I am fine, so please go ahead and take a rest, Alina. Then don't mind if I do. Serious. She hummed the lullaby that she had sung countless times before. and with that pleasant rhythm, my consciousness slowly faded. Sama, serious Sama, Emilia. Looking in the direction of the call that awakened my consciousness, there was Emilia and Royce. How long did I sleep, Sirius? About an hour or so, Alina. I see. So, what's the matter you two, Sirius? I got up while thanking Elena, and I assessed the state of the two as they were easing their stiffened muscles. They went as far as waking me up, so I wondered what went wrong, but they aren't panicking much. When we got up a little while ago, we went for a walk and we found something strange on the way. When Royce saw it, he said that it was suspicious, Emilia. Yeah, I got an odd feeling from it, but I don't know what it was, Royce. Therefore, we asked Big Sister and Dee to stand watch and we came to consult you, Sirius, Emilia. Wow, they left behind some people to watch over the target, and they were able to pull out a perfect Horenzo. Excellent. By the way, Horenzo is an acronym that takes the first syllables of the Chinese words Hokoku, Renraku and Soden, which mean report, inform and consult. It's indispensable for the efficient advance of an enterprise and of various activities. A disciple of mine from my previous life didn't know this, so I explained it to him, although I did it with a sigh. I was pulled by the two and guided to that place. And there was something strange there indeed. A jewel, Sirius. A jewel giving off a golden gleam was protruding about 2 fist lengths out of the ground. I feel like I might unintentionally reach my hand tight because it's a jewel, but it remains suspicious, so I'm hesitating. It's so beautiful. But Raccoon says not to touch it, Noelle. Roy's intuition is sharp at times like these. However, if this is serious, are we going to take it, Noelle? Though it's excessively suspicious, let's challenge it. I'll do it myself, so step back everyone, Sirius. We tidy up the luggage just in case. And with everyone having backed away to a safe position, I coil string around the jewel and try to pull it lightly, but it remains unaffected and doesn't move at all. It's not moving. Is it stuck on something, Sirius? The moment I put more power into it, the soil surrounding the jewel upheaved and an enormous object appeared with a cloud of dust. That's a jewel turtle, Dee. It was a 5 meters tall tortoise. The jewel that I was looking at before was shining on top of its carapace, and its whole body was covered in rocks. It looked very tough. Moreover, 6 tentacles were extending from its shell and wriggling in a threatening manner towards here. You know what it is, Dee, Sirius. Yes, it's a very tough monster, but it's famous for being a monster that can make one earn a lot of money, Dee. Really? Then, let's beat it, Noelle. It's strong and very ferocious though. Anyone other than a top-tier wizard or a high-grade adventurer would lose against it, Dee. With Dee's explanation, I recalled informations from a book. Jewel turtle. It's a tortoise monster covered in rocks from head to toe with a body harder than steel. For that reason, it's very slow and easy to escape from, but if one were to fight it, they'd have to be somewhat prepared to do so. It's strong. So superficial attacks have no effect on it, and if someone were to approach it unskillfully, that person would get caught and strangled by the tentacles that stretch out of its carapace. But the jewel that grows on its back can be fetched at a high price. Upon making such a discovery, gaining 1,000 gold in one stroke would be no dream. However, there is no end to the adventurers who had the tables turned on them and lost their lives to this monster because of their lack of ability. If we're going to run away, we should leave immediately, Dee. It seems that from the point of view of Dee, who has a lot of battle experience, this isn't an opponent we can match. Shifting my attention to the surroundings, I simulated the combat in my head and I made a decision. No, we'll manage. You two, prepare for battle, Sirius. Yes, Emilia and Royce. At my command, Emilia lined up to the side, and stepping forward, the Royce prepared his sword in an overhead position. The jewel turtle approaches while sinking the ground with each of its steps. Despite it being slow, the voices of Alina and Noelle were quivering from the force engendered by the tortoise's gigantic body. See, Sirius saw. Are you really going to fight, Noelle? Please don't. You don't have to force yourself to fight. Isn't it enough if we escape, Alina? It's alright, we can win. D. I'm entrusting both of them to you, Sirius. Understood. I'll be praying for your victory, D. D-san, Noelle. I guess Noelle thought that D, who's an experienced person, would never approve of this. She was shocked, but D raised the coins of his mouth while hitting her head in an attempt to bait her. Sirius-sama is much stronger than I. And he knows himself. Being such a person, if he said that he can win, then there is no problem, D. That's right. He has always been that kind. Alright, Sirius-sama, Ami-chan, Rukun, do your best, Noelle. Sirius-sama, Alina. To be frank, I wanted to send the three back home, but even if I had told them to do it, they probably wouldn't have listened. In any case, I asked them to fall back to a safe position, and we confronted the Jewel Turtle. Let the battle begin, Sirius.